Hi guys, I'm Shmi and good morning to you from one of the most iconic automotive venues in the world. We are in Italy, we're in Maranello, a little town you may have heard of for being the home of Ferrari. And right now, I'm in the centre of the Fiorano racetrack, their test track, right here, where all the new cars get put through their paces. And even better still, I have a Ferrari key in my hand. This is the key to that car, the new 812 Superfast. Their 800 horsepower, 6.5 litre naturally aspirated V12 Grand Touring supercar. Front mid-engine, a huge amount of excitement using everything they've learned from the F12 TDF. And as you can hear, it sounds rather good too. So today we're going to get to take a full look in detail at this car, get to drive it on this legendary circuit, take it out on the road, see what everything about this car is like, show it to you inside and out, hear it, experience it, and I'll be sharing that with you today from here in Italy at this legendary location. This is going to be one of the best days ever. So before we get started, before we go into quite a lot of detail, let's check out the new 812 Superfast. Let's get started taking a look around the 812 Superfast, and firstly the name. It represents 8 for 800 horsepower, 12 for the 12 cylinders of that 6.5 litre naturally aspirated V12 that you'll find up front. It's the successor to the F12 Berlinetta and the F12 TDF, the Tour de France, the Special Series hardcore version. So it uses lots of things they've learned in terms of aerodynamics to give the best performance. This car is all about performance. Ferrari customers want V12s in their GT cars and they want them to drive properly. So we'll take a look around. I'll show you under the bonnet shortly too, but firstly let's talk about sort of how it looks, what we're looking at. You've got that traditional kind of front engine GT format. There's one big thing, if I come further towards the rear though, it has just the two sections. It has this fastback that slopes right down towards the rear boot lid, towards this aggressive lip spoiler that's all about downforce. The car matches the downforce of the previous models. If we come back round towards the front, you can see there are lots and lots of openings for airflow, for aerodynamics to play their part. Those include the turning vanes that you have here, where airflow can come straight through and is funneled around the side of the car for optimum effect and for streamlining the car through the wind. You can see there's a lot of opening through the front lip for the radiators for the cooling. There is a massive engine in here and it needs a lot of cooling. Under the car you have active diffusers that open to allow air to come in and come out and be guided out here, up along the side of the car, even through here as well, through and out the rear, to keep it planted, to keep it down on the ground. It has Ferrari's four-wheel steering system, so all four wheels will steer. The rear wheels will steer in the opposite direction to the front to help cornering at slow speed. They will go in the same direction at high speed to give you a little bit more stability. You can see also around the rear we've got, on this car, this nicely yellow painted diffuser, but active aero flaps down here for additional downforce at speed too. A big thing on the design is the tail lights, that sort of historical style quad or double twin tail lights matching up with the exhaust pipes down at the lower, giving it a very nice sort of squared section. And even the way this spoiler extends and comes around the side all helps with the airflow, including through here down at the sides too. So everything is about performance, it's about design as well, it's about active aero, it's about airflow. So the rear sort of hatch comes down. This is actually closed, but it's all about handling the turbulent air up over the spoiler that is 30 millimeters higher than the F12's position was to help give it that downforce while not increasing the drag coefficient of the car at all. You've got full LED headlights on the new 812, but looking at it, especially in this paintwork, I should refer to that, the Giallo Tristrato. It is beautiful. The pearlescent yellow is a stunning colour to be looking at it in here. Now you can have all sorts of optional extras. You can have optional carbon fibre, you can have a different wheel selection. Obviously the Scuderia shields are an absolute must in my opinion on any Ferrari. But let's take a look at the interior too, which is very much driver focused. It's about the driver zone and it's heavily updated and worked since the previous generation of cars. You have new displays, you have the passenger display as well, and I'll come back later on and show you around this in a lot more detail. This is the air diffuser for the air conditioning to keep you cool, and we'll go, like I said, through everything in here a little bit later on. But firstly, that is the engine start button. I think we need to press it. And the V12 fires into life. It is such a lovely organic sound. You've got these high resolution displays, even the climate control there, I hadn't noticed, it sort of blends in smoothly. You have the passenger display that you turn on over there, and that gives you more. We'll go through those settings. It has the Manettino that we've started in race mode. I think that sets the tone of what this is about. You've got CT off now as a step up towards being heroic without going all the way into ESC off, as I've just done, or if you so choose, you can drive in wet mode with the suspension softened through the bumpy road mode. But I think we'll be in sport or race for most of the drive today. Let me jump back out, just give you a view of the sort of seats. These are the standard seats. You can also have carbon backed racing buckets, but everything is kind of focused, pointed towards the driver, and it's about driving experience. But as I come around here, even the idle burble of this is such a magnificent noise. That is what it is about. So I could talk all day, I think, about the different characteristics of the 812 Superfast. It's a gorgeous car. The way this shape works, if I come a little bit further away just to show you around the side, the way you can see this roof line that goes all the way towards the back, that fastback style, not interrupting the car by having a sort of flat boot-lidded section, breaking it into two parts, the main body and then the upper section on top of that. So I think that's quite a good bit of intro, showing you a little bit. Oh, I haven't shown you the engine. That is the thing we have to talk about. How could I? Let's do this. So the engine is under here. Pop open the bonnet. If I can just find the catch right here. There we go. Front mid-engine, so obviously the engine sits behind the front axle. Weight distribution 47% to the front, 53% to the rear. But Ferrari sure do know how to make a beautiful engine design. This thing just looks incredible. You open that up and you're greeted by beauty. That is as good as any car's engine bay could ever look. So I think that's probably enough for the moment. I should probably jump in the car, take it out for a little drive, and see what the new 812 Superfast is like on the roads of Maranello first, then we'll be back here at Fiorano. This is it then, the first drive in Ferrari's new Super Grand Tourer. So just like before, into gear, pulling the paddle, we'll release the automatic handbrake and away we go. And this is super gentle. Just the way it gets started is completely sort of effortless and easy, and around we go, no stress. The gearbox is obviously refined, reworked. Shifts are quicker as with experience driving under load. Automatically going up first, second, third gear. The ratios are 6% shorter, so it's up into fourth gear at 20 miles an hour already. Just cruising though. It's comfortable, it's smooth, and you can press bumpy road even though we're in sport mode to soften it up even more should you wish. But we'll head out, just explore around Maranello for the first little part of this experience. See what this car's like. I'm going to split this video into 3 different parts. So firstly, I'm going to pootle around Maranello and see what it's like going over these bumps just in a normal kind of town environment. Then we're going to get back to Fiorano to go out on track with Ferrari's test driver. That's quite a different extreme. Then we'll go exploring the countryside and find some lovely roads to push it on as well and see what it's like, because it's a Super Grand Tourer. It's a car that is built for all environments, although very much focused on the performance aspect. So it's quite an impressive machine to drive, but perhaps right now what I'm loving is how smooth and gentle and compliant it is, how you pull away. The gearbox is super smooth. I'm literally in 6th gear right now at 38 kilometers per hour, like 25 miles per hour. They're about 7th gear now. So it has these 6% shorter ratios, which mean you're going to have even more excitement and can use the revs when you're driving hard, but it's also so much smoother. This car can actually downshift 3 times, a triple downshift, in the time the FF could do a double. So Ferrari is sort of reporting that customers want to use their cars more and more, as well as for the performance reasons. They want to use them, you know, around town. They want to drive them. So a car like this, 350 litre boot, we'll have a look in there later, loads of space. It's also very comfortable, and as I'm discovering, just driving it gently is really, really rather nice as well. Now, if we put it into race mode and turn off automatic, so we're manual on the paddles, in a moment we'll be able to hear a little bit of the exhaust. Just listen to that sound! It is glorious! The V12 sings and the shifts are so fast. Instant, and the way it revs up, in theory it goes up to 8,900 RPM. Not that we're going to get close to that on these kind of roads, but that sound in the background, it is wonderful. That is a magical noise. Yes, I'm looking forward to pushing this a little bit harder, but to do that, we're going to need to go back to Fiorano and drive it a little bit more properly, shall we? It's preparation time for the hot lap, and I'm going to be jumping into this car, the Rosso 70th anniversary, a new paint colour for the 812 Superfast with Ferrari's test driver Raffaele. So let's watch it go out first, and then it's going to be my turn to jump in. Hello.
Ciao.
Hi.
Hi, Raffaele.
Nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to this.
So, first time in Fiorano?
First time ever at the Fiorano circuit.
Good. It's our test track. Every single meter tells us a lot of data to compare with other cars. It's very technical, and normally when you think, okay, now I understand how to do it, you start to make mistakes. So you have always to be gentle and precise, strong when you need, but smooth with the steering wheel on the open radius corner.
Okay.
And we will speak about that before pushing at the limit the 812, which is the car we're going to test today. And we now apply the 800 horsepower, 9,000 RPM. Carbon ceramics brakes, 1.3G braking, a very quick response you expect from a racing car is here on a normal road car equipped with normal standard tires. So this grip is mechanical, and the rear wheel steering helps the front axle and the rear to be smooth and predictable to the driver. In race on the steering. Now we switch to city off, which is the 4th position. Traction control allows a little bit more drifting and more fun to drive. Here is the quick corner, 150 kilometers per hour corner. is ESC off, and now it's all in your hands. The character of the car is, it's a pure Ferrari. V12 is something unbelievable. It's natural aspirated, most powerful engine I ever driven, and it's never-ending pushing up to the limiters.
Oh yeah.
From 6,000 up to 8,700. It's 50 horsepower more than F12 Berlinetta, which is a huge step. So the wall of the supercars with a lot of power, it seems break down. But on the other hand, we give you more tools on handling to treat and to manage this power, because the reaction is smarter than the F12 Tour de France, which is a limited series. This is a road car, and I'm very happy about the behavior on the racetrack.
Oh yeah, I mean, from the passenger seat, this is spectacularly exciting. The balance and control you have is just phenomenal. Now that was quite an experience, and the car sounds phenomenally good, but next up, when it comes back round again, it's going to be time for me to jump in the driver's seat and have a go. Now, I'm not going to be able to tell you anything like as much as Raffaele did. That was amazing. I hope you enjoyed the hot lap an awful lot as much as I did, but I will enjoy the drive, no doubt. So I'll wait for the car to come back in, then it's my turn. Here we go then! The Superfast. Well, I might not be as super fast as Raffaele, but I can listen to that noise! It's insane! I'm going to take this quite easy. This is literally my first ever lap driving Fiorano. This is obviously such a special track, and I feel so comfortable in the car. And the thing is, it might not sound like I'm going crazy fast compared to, say, you know, what we were doing with Raffaele, but compared to anything else you would drive on the road, this is insanely quick. Up and over the bridge. The rate of acceleration is mind-boggling. You need a track to explore the full limits of this. It's so fast, I feel like I'm playing a game. We're in race mode at the moment. Late apex here, back on the power. So still a little bit of traction interference in race mode. Of course, if you go into CT off, that will leave you on your own a little bit more. Downshifts. Under the bridge. And away we go. Insane stopping power in here. favourite Ferrari things, you hold the left paddle and it will just downshift for you as soon as it can grab that gear. And that is such an amazing feeling out on track, and the way it shifts so quickly. It is speechless making this thing, like, just, yeah, like, let's drop it down, and away we go, up to 9,000 nearly RPM. And then the brakes, the ceramics, those shifts are just mind-boggling. Now let's put it into CT off just to experience, I guess, a little bit of the reduction of traction. I'm not going to be going crazy, obviously, but see if it stops traction interfering quite as much. I've still got 800 horsepower on those rear tyres right now. You've got to think about how much that is. So it's so controllable. This thing is just incredible. So, what can I tell you? Other than that the smile of my face must scream 1,000 words. The experience of this is just mega. This track, this car, this level of controllability, this amount of performance. What on earth am I driving here? Those downshifts. I mean, this is the track, and you really need a track to properly get to experience this, even for part of what it's capable of. Yeah. Yes, Ferrari. This is incredible. Oh my goodness. Well, good things have to come to an end, except it doesn't. We're going out on the road to experience it out there too. That track experience was truly amazing, he says, as another Superfast goes past us, because we are now on board my FF, following the yellow car that I'm going to be driving shortly. So we head out with it to a location to experience the car out on the roads. But the FF is not a bad camera chase support car at all, so the perfect thing to be using for this purpose. Well, maybe a GTC4 Lusso would be even better, but just look at that thing in front of us on the roads. We'll go find some nice places to drive and enjoy everything it's about on the public roads. Time to experience this weapon on the road then. So being on the track, it's a little bit of a change, toning down to road driving. I'm in the most normal of modes, if you can call it that, sport mode in this car. You've got wet, sport, race, CT off and ESC off. Obviously the top end of that spectrum basically reserved for the racetrack. Wet for bad conditions, sport is your kind of normal mode, race is your most kind of exciting mode. So this car incorporates a lot of the fun and kind of drama of the TDF, which was a limited series, only 799 cars, but also the comfort and compliancy of the F12 Berlinetta. And it certainly feels like it has such a sort of wide spectrum of capabilities, from this super gentle driving like right now, and you can even press the bumpy road button and make the suspension even softer. So on roads like this, that's probably how you should be driving, because you've got lots of undulations and poor road surface. And Ferrari have obviously this setup that means it's in the harder, more exciting setting to get started. So like this automatic gearbox, it's wonderfully sort of smooth and easy, and it just shifts completely cleanly, obviously, between the gears effortlessly at low speed. So if I were to press auto, start to downshift, obviously not very much to hear when you're in the high gears. As you start to get to the lower numbers, you get that noise. We heard it on the racetrack, but out here in a normally sort of peaceful environment and not wearing a helmet for me, that sound in the background is just beautiful. And this is perhaps the last of a generation, one of the last sort of naturally aspirated engines. In the future we might have turbocharged V12s for Ferrari, we might have hybrid assistance for them, like the LaFerrari. But this is pure natural engine up there making this noise, and in fact it's the most powerful series production front-engined car in existence. So 800 horsepower, you get more than 800 horsepower in rear-engined cars or rear mid-engined, but for the front-engine layout, 800 horsepower is the most that's out there in series production, even 20 more than the TDF, 20 horsepower more than the F12 TDF had. Now though, let's flick it up into race mode where things get a little bit more lively, a little bit more spirited, and just hear a little bit more of this as you eke it out through the revs. And the car wants to be revved, it wants to be driven up towards the top end of the rev range, and you can feel that at the wheel. It's just sort of waiting to pounce, waiting to go, but it doesn't feel like it's going to kill you, it doesn't feel like it's going to bite you. The traction control is there to save you when you get it wrong. With 800 horsepower at the back, that's quite easy to do. Obviously you can get carried away just a slight amount and things can go pear-shaped very, very quickly, but as we're on these open roads, the downshift down to second, it just sounds beautiful. Rev it out. What an engine noise from this car. You can just listen to this all day. That's not even quite up to the red line. It is so quick. 0 to 62 miles an hour is 2.9 seconds. Top speed is 211 miles per hour. This car is stupidly fast, as we've experienced on the track, that, well, you don't feel like you're not going to use all of its capabilities on a public road. Maybe just a little spurt here and there, you know, like this, up towards the top. Listen to that scream at the top end of the rev range. Downshifts, this is so monumentally epic. So you're not going to use all the power, but just having it means that there's so much torque so early in the rev range that it's quick whatever you do. You don't need to be in a silly low gear. It just sounds a little bit better if you do. Then you can do the multiple downshift thing that I was demonstrating on the track. Oh my goodness though. This is a car. It's a work of art. It's a fantastic machine to be driving. And it sounds like heaven. Personally, I am a massive fan of the sort of big engine GT. They just feel cool, and that's the kind of niche this car's at. You know, it wants the sort of driver to be involved in the experience. It's about performance, it's about what the car can do, but then it's also got the ability to presumably sit on a motorway, and I'm not going to do much of that today, but driving around town gave me a taster of how it's at home anywhere, whatever you do. And then if you really want to, come to a little bit of a sort of standstill, put your foot down and listen to it. Screaming! The noise is just absurd. Seriously, it's totally ridiculous, and it turns in so well. The four-wheel steer helping the car go round corners like it's on rails. Just sort of turn it in and off you go, and the front sort of wide front tyres, slightly wider on this car, as a result of learnings from the TDF, counter the experience of the rear, so they give you a little bit more fun and a little bit more playfulness from it. It's a solid machine. It sounds amazing. It drives so well. And then, it's so fast. It is very clear that the Ferrari 812 Superfast is literally super fast, and I'm sure that joke is going to be used by an awful lot of people, but it's so easy to drive it quickly. I mean, I jumped in on the track and was driving it very, very hard immediately, and I mean, I've shifted way more than I need to, so I'm sorry about that, but it's addictive. It's so easy. The pedals are so light, they just click into gear, and the sound it makes is so totally addictive. Honestly, this is such a wonderful package, and if I didn't have to wait years for one, Ferrari, you'd have my deposit now. This is just mega, just utterly mega. You can just be so delicate with it. It's so nimble but easy to point exactly how you want it. say. Honestly, it's so exciting to drive, but it's not intimidating, it's not scary. It's desperately fast without making you feel like you have to be terrified of driving it to get on the performance. So I'm kind of blown away by this as a package. It is, I mean, is it the ultimate car for what I use a car for? It's a dream. It's like, yeah, utterly blowing me away. Let's just pop the window down for a moment because we'll hear even more of the noise. That'll do. As we make our way then back towards Maranello, just a couple of things to sort of think about. Firstly, the noise. They have made it sound amazing. They sort of worked on engineering a sound and the harmonics of it and creating this epic V12 soundtrack, and it completely has it. It is a really, really good engine noise. The comfort of the car with these seats is pretty good actually. I could imagine being in here for a long distance, loads of luggage space, generally all round a good car. The ride in sport with bumpy road, it rides these bumps so well. I mean, typically in a car with this capability, you'd be going over these bumps and the whole thing would be shaking about like crazy, but this is really pretty good given what the car can do, what the car is. Thinking about that, for a car with the engine at the front, it drives so much like a proper supercar, like a car that can get up, can pounce, can jump, and it has, I mean, ample performance to back it up. So much. It's 800 horsepower after all. That does, however, pose a question of, do we need cars with 800 horsepower? And I might go into that in a little bit more detail. But for now, driving it, I mean, it's just been a sensational experience. This is a true supercar, as it should be. And I think, like I said, the biggest thing that surprises me is this depth of capabilities, of how it's able to go from quite gentle and compliant on one side, driving like this, to a savage animal at the other end too. And it's a car I would love to spend even more time with if possible. But at the moment, I've just been completely sort of blown away with it. The Ferrari 812 Superfast is absolutely spot on. I'm back at Fiorano and I realised that there is one very important thing that I have not yet shown you, or rather not shown you, but played to you, and that is the melody of the exhaust sound, the symphony of noise. So let's just take a listen for a moment at this wonderful exhaust note, one of the very best. I hope you're ready for this. That is just epic. It is the most incredible sound you can imagine. I mean, well, you've just heard it. This thing has just, I don't know how they've done it. And I mean, one of the big questions is how many more of these kind of cars are we going to have with naturally aspirated big V12 engines? It's almost the last of a sort of dying breed, and it is a wonderful last of a dying breed. I hope it isn't, but if it is, this is an amazing way to go out. But let me show you a little bit more around the interior, and I apologise for all of the air conditioning noise. It is still very, very warm, as you can see, 35 degrees, but there's a lot to show you in here. And we'll start with the driver display, obviously the centre rev counter going all the way up to just short of 9,000 RPM with the gear selector in the center. On the left you have a digital display that is controlled by this panel down here, so you can go through various different modes and displays, although right now, because I've been shuffling forwards and backwards, we've got the park display. I'm not sure if there's a quick way to turn that off, but let's shut it down just so you can see the startup as well. So we've got the 812 Superfast logo, start the engine, up and running. And then you can press the button on the left to close the message. There we go. We've got the status display that we were in. So if you're in status, you've got the speedometer, you've got your tyre pressures, you've got the oil pressure and battery status, and then you've got the oil and water temperatures. If you go back, you've also got your trip information, your VDA, which is kind of cool. VDA showing you obviously tyre temperatures on that screen. Your vehicle dynamics, which you can also replicate on the passengers display over there that we'll get to shortly. And lastly, you've got settings for various things too. everything you'd pretty much expect to find in there. On the right hand side you have more of the sort of entertainment side of things, which is controlled through this control panel, so kind of mimicked all of this positioned facing towards the driver. You know, it's a bit of a selfish world, it's all about the driver and the driving experience. In here you've got the speedometer, should you wish it on this side, radio, media, navigation, phone, settings and telemetry. Now telemetry is an optional extra. You can have your sort of track information saved in there, your lap timing information and that kind of functionality too. And from using the navigation earlier, works pretty well. This screen is really nice, high resolution. Obviously you've got all the information right in front of you. Now the steering wheel has an optional sort of carbon driving zone, which would give you carbon fibre across the top with performance shift lights. This car doesn't have that option, but you can see the new design steering wheel that we saw on the GTC4 Lisso. So the indicators are now accessible from the rear as well. They used to just be on the front. Lights, various controls, wipers on this side, the new look Manatino with the different modes that I was mentioning earlier, and your phone controls down at the bottom, bumpy road, start stop, and on the back also you have a sort of jog dial for the volume, and you can see I'm raising and lowering it here with a toggle on the back. Maybe if I come around here you can just see that in front of the shifter. So the shifter's fixed to the column, but very nice elongated panel. You can paddle, sorry, you can have that in carbon fibre too. Should you wish, but basically everything's positioned nicely at you, even down to the door mirror controls, the lights, it's all pointing towards the driver. Whereas left-hand drive car, it would all be reversed for the right-hand drive car. In the middle, the very nice looking air conditioning vent, similar to the Lisso as well, but with this diffuser system which brings a lot of air into the cabin without making a lot of noise, and it does a great job. The air conditioning today, in the temperatures we've been seeing, up to nearly 40 degrees, has been wonderful. And that's all shown through the display here, control through the panel just underneath. So you've got this floating center stack with the reverse auto gearbox, launch control, and the hazard warning lights, and then the windows as well just below. You've got a storage bucket here that's quite neat. The way these sort of feel, it's nice, it's very, very solid. The car, by the way, just what I'm thinking about solidness, 25 kilos dry weight, so it's not heavy. It's not a heavy car. And then just behind that, you've got the key storage pouch in front of the glove box, the armrest, which has a USB and a cigarette socket at the back, and the phone, which they provide for the test drives. So glove box, we can pop open, full of a bit of information, but a decent amount of space in there actually. Could fit some good stuff. And then the passenger display, which you can toggle on and off via the button, but it's a touchscreen display, 8.8 inches. You've got various controls. I showed this a little bit when we were in the GTC4 Lisso and I did the launch, but let me just give it a quick blip. You can see you get the display there, which is quite neat for the passengers to see what you're up to. Go back to the home, the VDA. If I just toggle the Manatino on the other side, you can see with the nice little infographic what that's currently set for. Media, of course, does what you'd expect it to do, and you can choose the music actually if there's an iPod plugged in or something along those lines. So what else do we have? Well, the door pulls are quite nice, you can see. Generally in here feels airy, spacious, not cramped at all. You don't feel like the roof's in your way. You've got your light controls, auto start stop off is up here, and then your security modes. Driver sun visor has just a pouch for putting tickets or things in there as well. And then just one thing about the door opening lever is quite nice as well, hidden just in behind the handle here. Behind me, just to show you a little bit, obviously it's fastback shape, excuse me. You've got this area for storing luggage. Those straps are quite neat as well. You can have these sort of parts, I think, in carbon fibre as well. And then you've got some straps here for some additional storage should you wish there. So these are the standard seats. You can have the carbon backed sort of sport racing seats, which is not quite a fixed bucket, but is significantly more hardcore. And I also want to just jump out and show you in the boot as well. So you can do that by opening there or by pressing a button on the key. So you come around, open that up. This is where you've got really quite a decent amount of storage space. This shelf opens up to aid putting things in or out, but obviously keeps the luggage hidden when it's folded back down. And underneath you have the specification in detail of this car that Ferrari introduced not too long ago. And yeah, that's everything that's on this car. We had a look at another car and it had a list about double that length. But that's 350 litres, 320 to 350 depending on the configuration. So that's decent luggage space. You can fit a lot of stuff in there. and then just pull the hatch down. Obviously no electronics to help with that, because of adding weight pointlessly. It's not what this car is about. Now, one thing I'm not a huge fan of is the body colored diffuser. I feel like that should be black or carbon, but it is kind of cool the way it's shaped, the way the airflow works, and it's sort of near on vertical. These wheels I significantly prefer to the other design. The other design, which it was launched with, I'm a little bit iffy about. One other thing that's visually kind of odd to me is around here, you can have these parts all in carbon fiber, but they just look a little bit, I don't know, bolted on. Hard one to explain. Front end, is it a bit fishy with the grille? I'm being picky here, aren't I? Because overall, it's amazing. And looking at the way the air just flows through everything and back out, and the way you can tell that it's all sort of done to send the air up to certain places and pull it through the car. There are all sorts of openings underneath the car as well that you can't currently see, and just everywhere around to help with the aerodynamics and the flow of air across the car. I touched earlier on the Passo Corto Virtuale, the rear wheel steering system. The car has slip slide control 5, SSC 5.0, which is the latest sort of generation of integrating all the different technologies like the electric power steering, which, by the way, doesn't feel electrically bad in any way. It feels totally spot on, like better than it should. Integrates that with all the powertrain, the rear wheel steering, the gearbox, the way the power is delivered, and basically gives you the sort of perfect feel. And that's where on the track earlier we were able to enjoy the CT off mode and let it sort of slip around and play ever so slightly with it. So sadly, it's basically going to be time for me to say farewell to this car. We'll turn it off. Steering wheel electronically lifts to make getting in and out easier. There's an electric steering column switch just back here. But it's been a rather wonderful experience. You can just listen to the other cars currently blasting around on the track here. This thing, just incredible. And parked here in this spot outside Enzo Ferrari's house, where, by the way, Michael Schumacher used to live on the top floor when he was racing with Ferrari. I mean, yeah, it's been really cool, and I hope I've covered most of what there is to know about this car, about the new Ferrari 812 Superfast. So there we go. They have basically done it. They have integrated the fun of the TDF with the practicality and comfort and usability of the F12 Berlinetta into the new series production model. It's a dream. It's an amazing car to drive. It looks awesome. It sounds phenomenal. And I've had a pretty incredible day driving that here today. Big thanks to Raffaele for taking me out earlier on the track and showing us how to drive this properly. And a big thanks to Ferrari for having me along today to drive the car, to share this video with you guys, to whom I'm also thankful, of course, for watching it. So thanks again, and I will catch up with you again very, very soon. Cheers.